So, as he spoke, a lot of questions sprang up because of my training, and I needed to ask him. But when you are doing this job, sometimes you have to avoid appearing to be interjecting him too often. So I didn't even, I stopped to avoid that impression. First, let me take your preliminary comments, and then I'll fly some of those questions by you.
Well, Samson, thank you so very much for having me. When the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo referred this matter to the OSP on the 2nd day of February 2020, I had occasion to appear on a sister network. And I told the network that this was a completely needless waste of time. Because if you read the UK judgment, the Suffolk judgment, read the American judgment, read the consent agreement of France, you will come to one conclusion, that these judgments contain exculpatory evidence against Dramani Mahama. That should explain to you why the UK court did not pursue Samson Mahama and his associates.
Adam
Mahama.
Samuel
Adam Mahama and his associates. Two, you should be clear even from the beginning that this case was not grounded on bribery and corruption. It was grounded on unfair trade practices. A suit brought by Boeing against Airbus. Boeing had argued in these 3 jurisdictions that the activities of Airbus were giving them unfair and inappropriate advantage.
They seem to be getting all the contracts.
and so, by reason of the constitution of the agents and the way they played their game in Africa, Asia, and other places, they were violating the fair trade practices rules. So it was not a case brought against Samuel Adam Foster and his associate. No. It was not also a case, Sumutu, raised by the courts against Airbus. It was Boeing that brought the issue against Boeing. That we should all understand that. 2, when Airbus detected that, well, it appeared to them that the Samuel Adam Mahama's involvement in Ghana's contract, could lead to certain breaches of the Fair Trade Practices Act. He terminated his contract.
Right.
He terminated his contract. John Dramani Mahama and all the Ghanaian officials had absolutely nothing to do with that.
And one of the facts that Gary ignores is, in his submission, is that Airbus had gotten its contract with Ghana even before its agent, Samuel Adam Mahama, got into the picture. Right.
Yeah, it's very important. And so, when you look at the case clearly, and Gary, probably you should agree with the conclusions of the OSP. Why? Because you say you agree with the findings. The OSP and all OSPs have specific mandate. Specific. Immediately they establish an office of a special prosecutor. He's given a specific mandate. He can't go on a frolic of his own. And if, in your view, the case did not lend itself to bribery and corruption, but something else.
Conflict of interest.
You didn't expect the OSP to say anything otherwise.
But the OSP is known to have suggested other things.
Well,
when the OSP exonerated Edu Boaheng,
yes,
the OSP said that what he was doing amounted to, is it influence peddling? Correct? Yes.
Influence peddling.
And maybe somebody else could take care of that.
Maybe somebody else, not him.
Cecilia Dapa
He said that was more of money laundering. So
Exactly.
it should go to
Someone
you.
else could do that.
Yeah.
So Gary is simply saying, by that measure, by that standard, the OSP could say there seems to be conflict of interest. So so there was conflict of interest. So Shraj should take it up.
Yes. What Gary is saying is not in tandem with the law that set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The law did not say that if the Office of the Special Prosecutor came to a conclusion that its jurisdiction in the matter had not been properly invoked, it could suggest other institutions to take up. The law did not give the Office of that Special Prosecutor that mandate. Now, what the mandate the law gave to the Special Prosecutor was to request for cases. I mean, that's the opposite. If the Yoko or Chirac was investigating a matter and the Office of the Special Prosecutor felt strongly that that matter bordered on its jurisdiction and it could do the case properly so well, it could call for that case and do it, but not suggest where the case should go. Now, so the conclusions, in fact, to be honest with you, I would have been shocked if the OSP had come to a different conclusion. Unless you've not read the judgments, the deferred prosecution judgment or agreement of the UK, the consent of France, and the.
So,
if you read all.
Before I go to Abochi, you hear the argument that is coming up, particularly from the NPP. They are saying the OSP did a lazy job. And this is their point. Among their points, the major point, is that how could all these three countries, US, UK, and France, enter judgments so-called, and the people submit to it, and you come to tell us here in Ghana that there was nothing wrong?
So you must look at the case the UK, France, and USA were investigating. The referral letter from the president to the OSP said he should investigate instances of corruption, bribery. Were those matters that these courts or these countries were investigating? Were they?
To a large extent, these countries, the conclusion was that some bribery had gone on, and Airbus had done nothing about them, even though he had control over these officials.
The conclusions of the three courts was that the monies that were paid to Samuel Adam Foster were intended to bribe. Were those intentions realized? Were they effectuated? Were they carried through? The OSP and even the British court says no. We didn't see any evidence. There's no evidential proof that monies moved from Samuel Adam Foster or Mahama to John Mahama or any public official who was connected with the transaction, I mean, directly or indirectly, they didn't see any evidence.
Gary is asking you the question. Corruption happens in darkness.
Yes.
Are you expecting to see that money directly came from the brother to the brother?
I'm expecting to see that Adam Mahama, if the UK court had reasonably believed that those monies were not agency fees, but were monies intended for bribes. Bribery is a criminal offense in the UK, it's a criminal offense in the USA, it's a criminal offense in France. I was expecting to see that if the UK court, where Adam Mahama is resident, had reasons to believe that those monies were intended for bribes.
It's resident and citizen.
They would have prosecuted him.
Okay, hold on there.